Good morning. Today the word love has a whole lot of meanings used in a lot of different ways, and very few of them have anything to do with actual love. Love is that choice to place the needs or desires of someone else above your own. And it gets manifested in many ways. Jesus said that there's no greater love than for a man to lay down his life for a friend. In chapter 13 of Corinthians, verse 8 says, Charity or love never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail, whether there be tongues, they shall cease, whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. And that's from the Great Love chapter there in 13. And this kind of caught me. There's a unique story out of World War II. Desmond Doss was inducted into the U.S. Army in April of 42. He was a conscientious objector because of his faith, and he was assigned to the 77th Infantry Division as a medic. And the men in his company ridiculed him immeasurably and threatened him, and they tried to get him transferred out of their company because he was a conscientious objector. But in late spring of 45 on Okinawa, his troops, his battalion, had to scale a 400-foot escarpment and to attack the enemy. And as they came over the head of that, as they got over the edge of the escarpment, they were taking heavy enemy fire, artillery, small arms fire, mortars. I mean, they were taking it bad. And within just a few minutes, there were 75 casualties. And Desmond Doss went from person to person in the midst of the fire of all the weaponry to dress the wounds of each soldier and then to evacuate them out. And as he would let each one down by a rope down the escarpment, he would pray, "Dear God, let me get just one more man." And he did this until they got everybody out. And and this continued on in three more battles in May. He just absolutely unhesitatingly engaged in taking care of the troops, despite the amount of fire, the artillery, the small arms fire, whatever was going on, despite the enemy action, he still braved all the weaponry to tend to the people until on May 21, he was himself injured by a grenade that tore up both of his legs and incapacitated him primarily. And he dressed his own wounds, was tending to himself for 5 hours before litter bearers could get to him. And as they picked him up and taken him out, he insisted that they put him down and give his litter to another soldier who was injured even beyond him. While he was laying there waiting for them to return, he took small arms fire that fractured one of his arms. And just an amazing display of fortitude, he takes a rifle butt or rifle stock and makes a splint for his arm, and then crawls over 300 yards of rough terrain to get to a battalion aid station. And he became the first conscientious objector to win the congressional, be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for bravery above and beyond the call of duty. While he was getting to the battalion aid station, he realized he had lost his Bible, and he sent word back to the men to keep an eye out for it. If you see it, please return it if you find it. An entire battalion scoured the battlefield until they found that Bible. And a sergeant dried it and then mailed it to him. This same group that once ridiculed him and mocked him for reading the Bible and for being a conscientious objector scoured a battlefield to find a guy's Bible who took care of him. Was it just because he was their medic, just because he took care of them? That's a big part of it, or a part of it. People in battle tend to care for their medics because they're the only thing they have out there for medicine, and so they tend to take good care of them. But a sorry medic, or in some situations one who is an overt Christian, tends to get ridiculed as he did. But because he believed in Scripture so much, and he believed that love does not fail, his love for God drove him in his love for the men to tend to them and to take care of them. And while he disagreed with picking up a rifle and shooting to kill, he did not believe that it was inappropriate for him to render care. And so he served bravely at high risk to serve in the military during a time of war, and did so because he loved the Lord. Because he loved the Lord, he loved others. And because he loved others, there's a lot of men that came home, not in a body bag. Because Private Desmond Doss decided that love was more important than anything else. And that drew him into great acts of bravery in honor of God, in honor of our nation. There's something to this love thing. Love for God, love for others. If I remember correctly, I do believe Jesus said that loving God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and loving others as yourself was what all of the law and the prophets hung on. So if God says love is the basics, love is the most important, love is the centerpiece, and everything else attaches to that, then maybe we ought to do the same thing. Let's love others unconditionally as we love God unconditionally, who loved us first and showed us what unconditional love really is. So let's love somebody this week. Not like the world thinks of love, not sensual, not all the foolishness that it says, but real love, unconditional love that says the needs of someone else, the desires of someone else are more important than mine. And let's go take that out to our community and see what God can do with that. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.